Hello everyone, I welcome you here again. Today we have Mr. Sunil Kumar Bose with us. So welcome Sunil.
Thank you so much, Niji. Great to see you again after a long point of time, I think.
Okay,
Almost at the end of the second year of PhD journey.
yes. So how your work is going on? How is everything there?
It's going pretty well. A lot of things I have came to know from the academic point of view, since I had a practical experience before starting my PhD journey. So a lot of academic inputs which are much more relevant have been provided to me by my supervisor in an IM, and the flexibility that I've been given to choose my own topic of research and approach it in my own way. That much of a relaxation to a PhD scholar in this journey. All going pretty well.
Okay, that's wonderful. So what do you want to share today with all the scholars?
Yeah. So, see, when I came to know about studying any literature review or sort of identifying any research gap, because it is not that the topic that we have chosen people may not have thought across, or they may not have worked on it. There are many scholars around the world who might be working on the same topic that you might have thought of to work on your PhD journey, and chances could be there that somebody from outside your nation or your even your colleague could write a paper on it. You don't know. So it is one of the best thing to start with a literature review. And also post COVID, we have seen that the trend has shifted to start writing literature review paper. The major proposition that researchers focus that it will give you a proper base, even if you're trying to complete your PhD journey through one publication in a good category journal, it will given opportunity and avenues to publish many more paper from that. Since you are going through a brief history, the literature reviews like you're studying the history of the entire variable that you're going to study or the concept. So it will give you a broader base, and from there you can have a multiple publication for future prospect also.
Okay,
So I think today I'm going to share some of the experience that I came across, that how we identify and how to identify the gap and how we perform a literature review using different paper that have been written to guide us, that what is the efficient technique to write a literature review in a systematic manner. There are meta-analysis also which will focus on empirical paper, but since we are more into a novel researcher or sort of a learning process, so better to make a sort of qualitative study and to go through a number of papers which are written in good category journals, especially ABDC, A star category, and A category when you are aiming for a good writing skill. So I will share some of the key points, some of the key papers which I came across, that how you are able to make a proper framework and try to make a conceptual proposition on the topic that you're going to study. So let me share my screen.
okay, yeah, sure.
Okay. So I think my screen is visible.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So before knowing that why you were going to make an attempt to write a systematic literature review, so there's a paper by recent paper by Hewlett J and Houston, which I mentioned in my first line. Why systematic review papers and meta-analysis matter. So just to be clear, systematic review papers are sort of a qualitative study that you do from top category journals and try to make a brief synthesis of the literature which has already been published. So you can use different table references. They have taught us the way how to frame your proposition in a shortcut manner, because there would be certain criteria from the journal itself that you don't have to write too much of too much of vocabulary or too much of verbal communication on your paper. It has to be very crisp, very short, and up to the mark. And the word limit could be around 8,000 to 10,000. For the final publication, generally it is around 6,000 to 8,000. So they help us to know how we are going to frame our literature review by means of table communication. If you are using any reference, just try to make reference of the proper seminal paper that we have gone through in our literature. How to make a segmentation of different phases, like pre phase, during during the phase, and post phase. So how the literature has involved and how they are able to how we are able to give literature gap from that existing literature in a better manner and cover almost the broader picture, covering the entire important aspect of literature. So let's take an example that if you're going to study for your construct, let's say my topic of interest is brand love. So there are certain keywords which you can use in various databases like Scopus, EBSCOhost, or Web of Science, or n number of databases things are available through your institutional access, so you can access them. So keyword also plays a very important role, which I came to know while going through the literature review. So just like my topic is brand love, so these are some relevant keyword that I have came across, that if you're trying to search on your topic in sort of all literature which has been published, you can use certain keywords like brand love star, brand star love. So if you can see this asterisk mark, it will specify all the papers which are having this as a keyword. So when you try to filter, let's say Scopus, if you go, there will be a lot of filters. They'll suppose there are 500 papers and number of papers. So you can use this keyword and it will ensure that it will give you every paper that has been published in a domain, either you're taking from EBSCO or any other databases. And then you try to apply the filter, maybe year-wise filter or journal-wise filter. Basically, I'm like generally in literature review, we target A star category from ABDC list, or 4-star category from say ABS list. Generally for ABDC, it will be A star, A, and max to max B. And for ABS list, it will be 4-star, 4 and 3. Because before below that, researcher would not be able to entertain your paper if you are publishing for a good research journal. So you can use this keyword for a inclusive search work. And then there will be certain inclusion exclusion criteria, which will help us to know that which all things we are going to take in our data, which all things are matter to us. So there are paper by Justin Paul and Creado AR. So the authors have written in 2020, again, a recent paper in Journal of Business Research. So an international business review also, you will find a lot of things written on how to write a literature review in a better manner. So you can use this paper. The second paper by Merchant A, Justin Paul, Yogesh Dwivedi, sir. So you can use this paper from JBR and International Business Review to make an impactful review process and to synchronize your synthesis work in such a manner that it looks good when you're presenting your thought process on the paper. And then for citation analysis, which is very much important, because most of the authors who are well known, who are known as father or the seminal authors in your domain, they would be very happy to see if you cite your paper. So there are a lot of notion that if you're targeting any journal, make sure if you get to know who are the editor of that journal, chief editor or associate editor, and try to read some of the papers that will fulfill your requirement of writing that paper in a systematic manner, because they will be expecting something. So I was attending a seminar of Journal of Product and Brand Management, and the chief editor mentioned that if anything come across to us which is not carrying the brand element, straight away it is just rejected. So if anyone is writing systematic literature review, make sure they cite the proper papers written by known authors, because it will make them happy, and also it will beneficial for us. So you can use these papers for citation analysis. It is in Journal of Marketing, which is an A-star category, and they have given a very, very prudent point, very important point for researcher to make a proper note of the how to cite, how to give proper references to any author who have already did a published work. So let's take an example. I will again share a paper which has been published, I think, a couple of days back only, for systematic literature review in ABDC A category in my marketing domain. So I think the paper is visible. It's mentions synthesis of 40 years of brand crisis literature. So this paper,
your paper is not visible. The old slide is still on the screen.
Okay. I will share my screen again. I think I share only 1 window, so I will share it again. Yeah. I think now it is visible, right?
Yes, it is. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So the paper has been published recently, though it is accepted in 8 March. I think a couple of days back only it got published, and you can see.
You may enlarge it so that it will be clearly visible. Okay, perfect.
Yeah. So the title of the paper is also very important. You can see how short. So there was a seminar, foreign international seminar I was attending, and they mentioned that a title should not be more than 15 words, including of or any two alphabet symbol like at or also. It should not be more than 15 words. That again should be noted. So you have to mention your title in a very crisp manner, very short, and it should imply whatever things that you're going to carry in a research work. So maybe if you're doing any meta-analysis, then meta work for on your domain. So just like this paper has studied the brand crisis literature. So they have mentioned synthesis of 40 years of brand crisis literature. And then there are certain framework that we can use when the paper that I have cited, they contains those four, there are certain frameworks, basically 4 frameworks. So suppose this paper has used the methodology of using Prisma approach. Okay, so it is sort of a structured literature review as well as bibliometric study. So those who are having some hand-on practice on WOS Viewer, they will come to know that WOS Viewer is a free software which will help us to make us bibliographic data. It will give us the heat maps and all. So basically just to know the most cited paper or the paper which are occurring most frequently in the literature. So there will be certain seminal papers which are keep on repeating. The citation score are more for the paper. So WOS Viewer actually help us to club all those papers which are most being repetitively used and which are being trying to expand by other researchers. So maybe they're trying to add some new construct or try to bring some novelty or try to challenge their assumption in the existing literature. So you can see this bibliometric study and structured basically a synthesis of systematic literature review. So they have using the Prisma model. So the citation that I have mentioned, you can go through this paper and refer them, and you will get this framework. And then one of the most used framework for time being, which is being used for writing systematic literature review, is theory, context, and method framework. So there is one more, TCCM, which I will talk on later with the help of a paper again. So this framework they have used theory, context, and method framework. So generally meta-analysis also, meta-analysis is mostly for empirical part, and this is more of a qualitative. So for qualitative, we try to identify the research gap by using means of theory, like whatever theory which have been already been studied, and is there any other theory which is coming on the way we can study. Then what are the contexts? So suppose for branding, we are studying any fashion industry, or we are taking any automobile industry, any FMCG company, or any hotels. Especially in COVID, hospitality and tourism had not been in talks. So the context, what context all have been studied. So if somebody is doing the service marketing, so let's say there would be education sector, hospitality sector. So is there any gap or any study which has not been taken care of these industry or sectors? And then methodology. So what type of methodology they have used? Either it is a cross-sectional, mostly researchers have a cross-sectional study only, especially in India, and other could be the longitudinal study, or they have used any panel study or any time analysis framework. So these all will help us to make us note of which are the gaps which are there present in this TCCM framework or TCM framework.
Okay.
Which will help us to also mold the future investigation part, as you can see. So the keywords that they have mentioned, that using these keywords, their paper will come up immediately when somebody uses keyword like brand crisis, systematic literature review, bibliometric review, citation analysis. So all this phenomenology, how to write these papers, I will already mentioned in my presentation part. Okay. And just see the structure that first when they're going through the introduction part, in the initial step only, they have highlighted the 3 research questions. There again, there were again some queries by the researchers whether where to put the research question at the end or at the middle of the paper or the initial. So generally it is in systematic literature review, it is being referred and told that it is preferred that you should write a research question and objective right in the introduction. So in the introduction itself, you should introduce your variable, the major variable or the minor variable which are going to study, and then the research question and objectives based on that. So they have like 3 research questions, and then researchers may ask that how you are able to identify and answer these research questions, which they have taken the help of systematic literature review using TCM framework. Okay. So then they have mentioned the whole lot of literature things, and then comes the methodology part, which is very much important. And you can see the first citation that they have given, which I've also mentioned, that Paul and Cradio 2020 paper. in International Business Review. So they have tried to use that paper and then try to make a simulation and try to picturize that scenario and made a framework on that paper, on that notice. And then Prisma. So basically, Prisma protocol has been taken from medical history. So generally, earlier medical science and all, they were mostly known for making a very deep, thorough study of their medical terms and all. So from there, Prisma model have been adopted. So again, there are certain citations for this model approach too. And this protocol has four, like they have taken this protocol consider 4 stages. So then they have studied about brand crisis in a systematic manner. Yeah. So you can use this table because these tables help us to frame our thought process in a very articulated manner, very less space is needed. And generally for good papers, there is a limitation also, like you cannot use more than 200 words when you are representing a page. So make sure there will be certain word limit criteria also. So generally 200 word limit is the criteria when you are representing any table which is covering your literature part. So they have highlighted the major paper where all brand crisis things have been covered and the major phenomena studied under brand crisis. So you can see that the terminologies, what they have discussed, and the major cited papers. So and then at the last you can see at the last they will try to mention their own proposition. Like there are a number of papers which are studied in a domain, and then at the end you will mention what your paper will talk about. So here that they have mentioned own contribution, right, in the in this paper. If you can see this headline, the sources are author's own. So they have tried to make a synthesis of every literature, and they have proposed these many things that this could also be done in the previous paper that they have gone through. Okay. And then explaining them, the discussion part is very necessary. And then I was also mentioning the different phases. Like earlier, when your publication started to happen on your topic, let's say my in brand love publication started happening from 1993 by Carol Hivia. Then major jumps came around 2006, and then after 2019, lot of papers. So you are trying to define this phase using bibliometric coupling, or you can use even systematic literature review just to break the time phases. Like the publication trend started from 1981 to 85 for brand crisis, and then these are how the trend is building. So you can see that this is the theoretical aspect. They have mentioned TCM framework, right? So from 1981 to 2021, they have tried to cover all the major theories which have been there in this publication trend, and then they are talking over the context. I was mentioning like maybe automobile, FMCG, electronic, banking, and other things. So this will be properly being cleared once you are going to use systematic literature review and do a bibliometric study using Wasweaver, which is a free software. And then major theories being highlighted. So you can use any of the theories. You can make novelty on this proposition, add a novel construct, borrow it from other literature, maybe from HR or strategy, something, and then you can present your novelty. And then the methodologies, like some studies have done cross-sectional study, case study, netography. So there would be some research gap. So you can also see the frequency, like in this brand crisis, majority have been into experimentation. A lot of papers were into experimentation, 76 papers. So this will help us to know where actually we can focus on for the future scope and at least for our own purpose. And then a lot of tests also, those who are good with quantitative part, they can also go for meta-analysis, and it will help us to know that which are the methods or tools or techniques we're using or statistical manner and quantitative for analysis or empirical manner. So those who are good with the numbers or data crunching, they can use that thing. So it give a lot of avenues, and then they have discussed this table in a broader manner. So they have highlighted everything that they have came to this table, like citation analysis, bibliometric review and all. So these are the, it seems very easy when you are using it, but when you're going to write, it becomes a major channel. So make sure that you try to make a habit of developing these tables, because these table will help us to make a better representation, not only for yourself, but also for the reader. And this is a proper framework that they have came across by using bibliometric part, SLR, the TCM framework, and how they are adding the elements in a synchronized manner. That's the beauty of SLR. Okay, so again, then discussing the paper in the proper manner, like whatever they have gone through literature, and these are the things that they have came through. So it is simple, but still you have to be very cautious because there are a lot of study that may have covered your own aspect. So identifying those gaps is very crucial. And when you are through with systematic literature review process, the Prisma model, the TCCM framework, or the bibliometric coupling, things will be very easy. And best part of bibliometric analysis during this SLR process is that it will give you certain themes. So somebody can also take out these themes. There will be a certain cluster that you will get when you will do bibliometric analysis via citation analysis or co-author coupling or authorship coupling. So you will get to know various themes, and then accordingly you can make a table, and on basis of themes you can propose certain aspects, just like the trends, the context on which the paper have been taken care of, or the future scope in which it is evolving. So every concept is an evolving part, and that you can take care of. Okay, so these were the major highlight of an SLR. So as you can see that they have also identified key moderating and mediating relationship, which is again a major drawback for earlier literature reviews, that they were not able to cover the mediating part or the moderating part. So suppose if I am doing meta-analysis, so I will be trying to cover all the major moderator effect which are making an impact over the relationship for brand love. So there will be certain antecedents which make brand love to happen. There will be certain consequences of brand love. But which are the moderators which have an effective size or high valence or low valence or moderate valence, that I'm going to take care with when I'm doing meta-analysis. Similarly, in systematic literature review also, you can go through this normal basic mediator analysis or moderating analysis and make a tabular representation. In brand cases, these are the moderating variables which have been studied. So how they have been able to make impact. You can see the direction, like moderator help us to know the direction, the strength of the magnitude, that how it is impacting the relationship. These are the major highlight for any SLR, and this will give you a much better perspective when you are looking at a variable from a broader angle. And then when you are exploring it through n number of paper, you will go deep down in the literature and will give you a better framework. So same thing that they have done, like these are the major theories that they have covered on macro basis, taking brand as a macro level, then micro level, and then there is a meso level, which comes amidst micro and macro part. This one, meso level. Like for branding now, every brand construct, brand community is very important. So this comes as a chunk or as a crux of the systematic literature review that scholars have done in this paper. So you can see that they have mentioned author zone. So these are the things that any literature review will help us to know, focusing on your theoretical aspect or any methodological aspect, and which is very much feasible for time being, and lot of scope I see, because it will give you a proper pathway for making future contribution too. Okay, so these were all which were being covered in this paper. Obviously, managerial implication and theoretical implication are very much important, and ensure that when you are writing your SLR, you should mention these two different things, like what theoretical contribution you are adding to the previous literature and what managerial implications you are going to conduct and provide to the current managers. How it will help them. That it is very much needed for SLR to bifurcate these two, and this all you will come to know when you will read those papers, that how to write an efficient systematic literature review from the references that I have mentioned. Okay, and then the other framework I'm going to share now.
Okay.
So this is nothing but again an extension of what the previous paper that I was presenting. So again, it is written by Justin Paul. This is again a current publication in April only. So frameworks for developing impactful systematic literature review and theory building. What, why, and how. So somebody who have gone through the process of PhD may have gone through Wetten's paper. So Wetten's paper actually talk about the three important elements of theoretical contribution.
Your screen is not visible. In case you are sharing, the screen.
Okay. Sorry. I forgot to share. Okay, just give me a minute.
Let's make it quick, huh? Let's make it quick.
Yes, sure. Yes. So this paper was again a recent publication, as you can see, 4th April, and it is just an extended version which I was talking in previous paper. Theories, context, characteristics, and methods, again by Justin Paul and all. And there is a Wetten's paper which talks about how to write a proper theory and what are the requirements of a theory building. That is what, why, and how. So this paper will help us to know that which are the important elements in a broader manner to cover a theory building aspect when somebody is going to propose a new conceptual framework or going to study deep down a theory, particular theory or a phenomena. So as you can see that 5W and H are very much important. And then IMO, that is input, mediator and outcome, which previous paper have covered using moderator analysis. So these are the normal tricks these are the normal papers that one can go through and have a broader outlook. So that's all I want to present from my end on basis of SLR. I think it will be helpful for everyone in that room.
Yes, absolutely. It was really helpful. You started with the total word limit of a good, targeted journal.
Yes.
Then started with the citation analysis, then the SLR, then the bibliometric. What are the different frameworks which are important? Then the theoretical and managerial aspects of implications.
Right.
So it was really wonderful sharing with all of us. So is there anything last concluding words you want to share with everybody?
So see, when you are presenting a paper or you are submitting a paper, very few will be interested in your literature because maybe they have their own domain. So maybe they may not be reading your literature, but they were mostly focused on the methodology. So methodology is one of the major things which every editor focuses, and they will come to know that how you have written the paper. The moment they know that this author is a sound methodological expert, automatically the chances of publication is acceptable. This I came to know through some international conference of A-star category. So methodology is one of the major ball game. Okay, it can make and break anything, and it can go for a minor revision if your methodology is strong, or it can be desk rejected if you are not good in methodology. So make sure the methodology should be very strong and you have a strong acumen in that. So try to learn new methodologies.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much, Sunil, for sharing your learning and experience with all of us. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.